The meeting room on the Sylvani station sparkled with soft blue light. Do-hyun sat at the long crystal table, showing his research to the alien scientists. The Sylvani leaned forward, their silver faces reflecting the light from his tablet screen. As you can see, Do-hyun explained, humans adapted to survive many dangers. Our bones grew strong from Earth's gravity. Our minds learned to solve problems quickly because predators were always nearby. Commander Jae-yun watched from her seat, noticing something odd. Every time Do-hyun mentioned human strength or survival skills, the Sylvani touched small devices on their wrists. Their large eyes would blink rapidly, like they were recording everything. Taiwan noticed too. The security chief stood near the door, his back straight, his eyes moving between the 6 Sylvani in the room. Years of special forces training had taught him to spot hidden threats. Right now, his instincts were screaming that something was wrong. Fascinating, said the lead Sylvani scientist, who had introduced himself as first observer. Would you be willing to demonstrate human strength, perhaps in our testing facility? Testing facility? Jae-yun asked carefully. This wasn't part of the planned diplomatic meeting. Yes, first observer said smoothly. We have a special room designed to measure physical abilities. Very safe, very controlled. We'd love to see humans in action. Hejun, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What kind of measurements are you looking for? The engineer's question made first observer pause for a moment too long. Simple things. Reaction time. Muscle strength. Nothing dangerous. Dr. Yun, he noticed the slight change in the Sylvani's silver skin, a darker pattern that might mean stress or excitement. As the ship's doctor, she had studied alien biology. This reaction wasn't normal for simple scientific curiosity. Before we agree, Jae-yun said diplomatically, could we see this facility? Safety protocols are very important to us. Of course, first observer said. He stood up smoothly. Please, follow me. As they walked through the curved hallways, Taiwan moved closer to Jae-yun. Commander, he whispered, the walls have hidden panels. I've counted at least 20 security cameras. This isn't just a research station. Jae-yun nodded slightly. She had noticed other strange things too. There were no other alien visitors anywhere. The hallways were too wide, the doors too thick. Everything looked beautiful, but it was built like a fortress. They reached a large room filled with various equipment. The machines looked medical, but Taiwan saw restraints hidden under padded covers. Hejun's eyes narrowed at the heavy security doors. This was no simple testing room. It was a containment facility. Perhaps we should return to our ship and discuss this with our superiors, Jae-yun suggested carefully. First observer's friendly manner changed instantly. His large eyes hardened. I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, we've been studying dangerous species for centuries. Deathworlders like you are too valuable to let go. The doors slammed shut. Gas began pouring from hidden vents. Taiwan moved to protect the commander, but his legs were already getting weak. The last thing Jae-yun saw before passing out was first observer standing over them, speaking into his wrist device. Specimens secured. Begin the tests. None of the Sylvani noticed Dr. Yun-hee checking her medical scanner before she fell. None of them knew she had already detected the gas and sent an emergency signal to the ship. And none of them understood that trapping humans was the worst mistake they could make. Do-hyun woke up with a pounding headache. He found himself strapped to a metal table, thick restraints holding down his arms and legs. The room was bright, too bright, and filled with humming machines. Through his blurry vision, he could see other tables nearby. His crewmates were there too, all unconscious except for Hejun. You're awake, Hejun whispered. The engineer was testing his restraints, moving each finger carefully. They've been scanning us for hours. The Sylvani think their restraints can hold us because they're designed for stronger alien species. Do-hyun tried to move. The restraints were strong, but he could feel them flexed slightly. "Earth's gravity," he whispered back. "They don't understand how it made our muscles dense. Where's the commander?" In another room with First Observer, they took Taiwan too. Hajum's voice was low but calm. He was memorizing everything about the room. The door controls, the ventilation system, the power cables running to each table. Dr. Yunhee stirred on her table. Her medical scanner was gone, but she had already learned what she needed. "The gas they used," she said softly, "it was meant for bigger aliens. They had to use twice as much to affect us. Our Earth-evolved liver processes toxins faster." The main door slid open. First Observer walked in with two other Sylvani. They wore protective suits now, their silver skin hidden behind clear barriers. They carried tools and scanning devices. "Ah, good. The specimens are awake." First Observer moved to Du-hyun's table. "Your research helped us greatly. We knew humans were dangerous, but you explained exactly why. Now we can study how your Deathworld adaptations work." "We came in peace," Du-hyun said firmly. "We were willing to share our research." "Peace." First Observer's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Your kind cannot be peaceful. You evolved on a planet that should have killed you. Every human carries the capacity for violence. It's written in your genes, your muscles, your reflexes. You are walking weapons." In the next room, Jai-yun and Taiwan were facing similar treatment. The commander kept her face calm, but her mind was racing. She had seen Yun-hee's slight nod before they were separated. The ship knew something was wrong. "The restraints are interesting," Taiwan said loudly, drawing attention to himself. He could feel the metal pressing against his wrists. Special Forces training had taught him about pressure points and leverage. These aliens didn't understand human joints could dislocate on purpose. A new Sylvani entered, carrying a tray of sharp tools. "We'll start with tissue samples," it announced. "The pain response should be fascinating. Deathworld species always show interesting survival reactions to stress." None of the Sylvani noticed how their prisoners' breathing had changed. They didn't recognize the steady, controlled pattern that humans use to prepare for action. They didn't understand that their threats weren't causing panic. They were triggering something much older and more dangerous. In the control room above, Sylvani scientists watched their monitors with excitement. Their instruments showed rising heart rates, increasing muscle tension, and changing brain patterns in their human subjects. They thought they were seeing fear. They were wrong. They were seeing the first signs of Earth's deadliest survival trait awakening. The same instinct that had once helped humans survive against cave bears and saber-toothed cats was stirring. The Sylvani had created the perfect conditions to trigger humanity's Berserker state. And in the darkness of space nearby, the Resilient was not as empty as the Sylvani believed. Yun-hee's emergency signal had reached more than just the ship's computers. The pain started small, just tiny cuts for samples, the Sylvani scientists said. But they kept cutting, kept testing, kept pushing. Hour after hour, they studied their human specimens with cold curiosity. Dr. Yun-hee watched her friends suffer while taking notes in her mind. As a doctor, she understood what was happening to their bodies. Human pain tolerance was increasing. Their muscles were getting tenser. Their breathing was becoming deeper. These were not signs of breaking. They were signs of changing. In the next room, Du-hyun remembered his research about ancient humans. Back then, when a hunter was cornered by a predator, something would change in their minds. Pain would fade. Strength would rise. The body would prepare for one final desperate fight. "Interesting," First Observer said, checking his readings. "Their pain responses are decreasing, but their muscle density is increasing. How can this be?" The other Sylvani scientists crowded around their machines. None of them saw Taiwan's shoulders shifting, deliberately dislocating to create space in his restraints. They didn't notice Hajum testing each restraint's power supply, learning their weaknesses. Jai-yun felt it first, a strange clarity in her mind. The pain wasn't gone, but it felt distant, unimportant. Her heart beat steadily, pumping more blood to her muscles. She could smell everything in the room, hear every tiny sound. Her body was preparing for something big. "Commander," Tai-1 whispered. His voice had changed, becoming deeper, rougher. "It's starting, like in the old combat stories. The Berserker state." First Observer touched Jai-Yun's arm with a sharp tool. Her muscles didn't flinch away this time. Instead, they tensed, coiled like springs. The Sylvanese stepped back, finally noticing something was wrong. "Their brains are showing unusual patterns," a scientist reported. "All 5 subjects are changing. Heart rates steady but high. Muscle oxygen levels increasing. Body temperature rising." Do-hyun spoke then, his voice eerily calm. "You wanted to study Deathworld adaptations. You should have read Earth's history more carefully. When ancient humans were cornered by cave bears or big cats, something would happen to them. Something that made them strong enough, fast enough, brave enough to fight monsters." The restraint on his right arm creaked. The metal was strong, but human bone could become stronger. Human muscles could push past their normal limits. In times of extreme danger, human bodies could do impossible things. "Fascinating," First Observer said, still not understanding the danger. "Tell us more about this response. How does it?" A loud crack interrupted him. One of Tai-1's restraints had broken. The security chief's shoulder was twisted at an odd angle, but his face showed no pain. His eyes had changed. The pupils were wide, focusing on threats, marking targets. "Emergency protocol." First Observer shouted. "Increase restraint power. Add sedatives to the air supply." But it was too late. The humans had reached their breaking point. The Berserker state was awakening, and with it came something the Sylvani had never seen before: the full, terrifying potential of Earth's apex predators. Through the observation window, more Sylvani scientists watched in growing fear as their test subjects began to change. They had wanted to study humanity's survival adaptations. Now they were about to experience them firsthand. The changes came fast now. Dr. Yun, he watched her own body transform with scientific wonder. Her heart pumped harder, sending oxygen-rich blood to her muscles. Her senses sharpened until she could hear the frightened breathing of every Sylvani in the room. She could even smell their fear, a sharp metallic scent that triggered something deep in her brain. Temperature rising in all subjects, a Sylvani scientist reported, voice shaking. Muscle density increasing beyond normal human limits. Brain activity patterns unknown. Do-hyun felt his mind changing too. His thoughts became crystal clear, focused purely on survival. His research had taught him about this, how ancient humans had survived against giant predators. Now he understood it wasn't just strength that saved them. It was this state of perfect, deadly focus. The restraints creaked louder. Hajun's engineer mind worked faster than ever, seeing exactly how the power systems connected, where they were weakest. His muscles bulged against the metal bands. The Sylvani had designed them for normal human strength, but they were about to learn that normal human strength had very flexible limits. In the other room, Commander Jai-Yun fought to keep her thoughts clear. The Berserker state pulled at her mind, trying to take over completely. But humans had evolved beyond just raw survival instinct. They could think and fight at the same time. She needed to protect her crew, not just destroy everything in sight. "Remarkable," First Observer said, still taking notes even as more restraints began to break. "Their bodies are adapting to the stress. But how are they all changing together? Some kind of group response." Tai-1 answered with a growl that didn't sound human anymore. "Pack hunters," he said, his voice deep and rough. "Humans hunted in groups. We protect our own." The security chief's other restraint shattered. He stood up slowly, his dislocated shoulder popping back into place by itself. His eyes had changed color, the pupils so wide they almost looked black. Every movement was smooth, controlled, deadly, like a predator preparing to strike. "Full emergency lockdown," First Observer shouted, finally understanding the danger. Release the heavy sedation gas. Call security. But the humans could smell the gas now. Their bodies, pushed into survival mode, processed it before it could affect them. More restraints broke as their enhanced muscles pushed past normal limits. Hejun's snap went first, then Do-hyun's, then Yunhee's. Jae-yun felt the last of her restraints give way. She stood up, feeling stronger than she had ever been. Her crew gathered around her, moving together like wolves in a pack. Their eyes all showed the same change, the full awakening of humanity's deadliest survival trait. "You wanted to study Deathworld adaptations?" Jae-yun asked, her voice carrying a deep primal growl. "You wanted to know what happens when humans are cornered?" She smiled, showing teeth that somehow looked sharper than before. "You're about to find out." The Sylvani scientists backed away, finally seeing their test subjects for what they truly were. Earth's apex predators, pushed into a state that had once let their ancestors kill monsters. Their machines kept recording, documenting everything. But now they were capturing their own species' greatest mistake. They had wanted to study humanity's survival adaptations. Instead, they had awakened them. And now the hunters were loose. The first Sylvani security team arrived wearing heavy armor and carrying stun weapons. They moved with confidence, believing their advanced technology would easily stop 5 unarmed humans. They were wrong. Taiwan moved before the security team could raise their weapons. His enhanced body flowed like water, faster than human eyes could follow. Years of special forces training combined with Berserker strength made him unstoppable. The security team's armor crumpled under his strikes like paper. Hejun worked on the door controls while the others protected him. His engineer's mind, sharpened by the Berserker state, understood the alien technology perfectly now. Every circuit, every power line became clear to him. His fingers moved across the control panel with incredible speed. "More guards coming from the left," Do-hyun called out. His enhanced senses could hear their footsteps from 2 corridors away. He could even smell the different metals in their weapons. "They have stronger guns this time." Commander Jae-yun moved her crew into position. The Berserker state had not taken away their ability to think and plan. Instead, it made them work together even better. They moved like one unit, protecting each other's backs, using the narrow corridor to their advantage. "Their armor has weak points at the joints," Dr. Yunhee observed, her medical knowledge combining with her heightened senses. She could see exactly where the protective plates connected. Hit them there, and the whole suit fails. The second security team rounded the corner, firing their stun weapons, but the humans could see the energy bolts coming now. Their enhanced reflexes let them dodge the shots easily. The Sylvani watched in horror as their weapons, designed to stop creatures 3 times human size, had no effect. "The path to the ship is clear," Hejun announced. He had not just opened the doors. He had accessed the station's whole security system. "But they've put up force fields. Give me 2 minutes." Jae-yun nodded, feeling proud of her crew even through the Berserker haze. Each person used their special skills, made stronger by their awakened survival instincts. They were not mindless warriors. They were Earth's ultimate survivors, minds and bodies working perfectly together. First Observer watched through the security cameras, recording everything. "Impossible," he whispered. "Their strength, their speed, their teamwork. How can they be so coordinated in this state?" The answer came as more security teams fell. Humans had evolved as pack hunters, working together to bring down bigger, stronger prey. The Berserker state didn't just make them stronger. It linked them together, like ancient hunting parties taking down mammoths. A third security team tried to trap them with nets made of unbreakable alien metal. Taiwan caught the net and used it as a weapon, his enhanced strength turning the Sylvanus' own technology against them. Do-hyun called out more warnings as his senses tracked every enemy movement. "Force fields down," Hejun announced. "Path to docking bay 3 is open. We can reach the ship." Jae-yun led her crew forward, moving as one unit through the station's corridors. The Sylvanni's perfect, beautiful halls now showed the first signs of damage. Proof that their advanced civilization had made a terrible mistake. They had caged Earth's apex predators. They had forced them into survival mode. And now they were learning why every creature on Earth, from the smallest prey to the largest predator, had learned one important rule. Never corner a species that evolved to survive everything that Deathworld could throw at it. The roles had changed completely now. The Sylvanni security teams no longer hunted the humans. They ran from them. Through the station's curved hallways, Commander Jai-Yun led her crew with deadly purpose. They weren't just escaping anymore. They were hunting. Do-Hyun's enhanced senses guided them perfectly. 6 heartbeats ahead, he said, his voice a low growl. They're trying to set up another trap. He could smell their fear, hear their rapid breathing, even sense the slight vibrations of their movements through the metal floor. Let them try, Ta-One answered. His fighting skills, already impressive from Special Forces training, had become something else entirely. He moved like a predator from Earth's ancient past, every step silent, every movement ready for action. Their traps won't work anymore. Hajun worked with the station's systems as they moved. His engineer's mind, made faster and clearer by the Berserker state, turned the Sylvanni's own technology against them. Their communications are breaking down, he reported with a fierce smile. They can't coordinate their defense anymore. Dr. Yun He watched their bodies continue to adapt. Her medical knowledge, combined with the Berserker state, helped her understand what was happening to them. Our muscles are still getting stronger, she observed. Heart rate steady, brain activity focused. We could keep this up for hours. First Observer's voice came over the station speakers, trying to sound calm but failing. Please, he said, we can negotiate. We didn't understand what we were dealing with. We'll let you go. Just stop destroying everything. Jai-Yun's laugh carried a growl in it. You wanted to study us, she called back. So study this. Watch how humans hunt when they're threatened. Take good notes, if you survive long enough to write them down. The 6 Sylvanni security guards ahead had set up their trap with energy shields and heavy weapons. They thought they were ready. They were wrong. The humans moved as one unit, using tactics that went beyond military training, back to something more primal, the way ancient human hunters had worked together to bring down massive prey. Ta-One and Jai-Yun attacked from the front, moving so fast the Sylvanni's weapons couldn't track them. Hajun disabled their energy shields with a touch, his enhanced mind seeing exactly which circuits to break. Do-Hyun called out each guard's position, while Dr. Yun-Hee pointed out weak spots in their armor. Their research data, Do-Hyun said after the brief fight ended. We should find it. Make sure they can't try this with other humans. His scientists' minds stayed sharp even through the Berserker haze. This wasn't just about escape now. It was about protecting their whole species. They found the main research center easily, following the scent of scared Sylvanni scientists. Inside, First Observer and his team cowered behind desks, watching as the humans they had thought to study now hunted them. Please, First Observer begged. We only wanted to understand your survival abilities. Then understand this, Jai-Yun said, her voice carrying the deep growl of Earth's apex predators. Humans didn't just survive our death world. We mastered it. Everything that tried to kill us only made us stronger. And now you've reminded us exactly what we can do when we're pushed too far. The Sylvanni scientists huddled together, finally understanding their terrible mistake. They had wanted to study humanity's death world adaptations. Instead, they had awakened them. And now they were learning the hard way why Earth's deadliest predators were best left alone. In the heart of the research station, Hajun's enhanced mind worked through the Sylvanni computer systems. His fingers flew across the controls while the others kept watch. What he found made him stop and stare. Commander, he called to Jai-Yun, his voice still carrying the deep growl of their Berserker state. You need to see this. They've been collecting dangerous species from all over the galaxy, not just studying them, saving them. The main screen lit up with images of various alien creatures. Each one came from a harsh world like Earth. Each one had evolved special abilities to survive. The Sylvani had taken samples of them all. Du-hyun moved closer, his scientist's mind still sharp despite their transformed state. "They think they're preserving life," he said, reading through the files. "When they find a species that evolved strong survival traits, they capture some to keep safe. They believe these abilities shouldn't be lost." First observer spoke from where he sat, guarded by Taiwan. "Your kind is special," he said, his fear mixing with genuine wonder. "Most species evolve one or two survival traits. Humans have dozens. You adapt to any situation. You grow stronger under pressure. You work together in ways we've never seen before." Dr. Yun-hee checked more files, her medical knowledge helping her understand what she saw. "They've been collecting DNA samples," she explained, "studying how different species survive. They think they're saving important traits that might be lost as worlds become safer and more civilized." Jai-yun felt her berserker state pull at her mind, urging her to destroy everything. But humans hadn't just evolved physical strength. They had developed the ability to think even when their survival instincts screamed for action. She forced herself to consider what they had learned. "You had no right to take us," she told First Observer, her voice still deep and dangerous. "No right to hurt us, to experiment on us. But I understand what you were trying to do." The Sylvani scientist's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Then you won't destroy our research. This work could save countless species, help them survive if their worlds ever become dangerous again." Taiwan growled, his combat instincts still strong. "They hurt us," he reminded Jai-yun. "Trapped us, tortured us. We should end their project completely." "No," Du-hyun said suddenly. He pointed to more files on the screen. "Look at these results. They've helped endangered species survive, restored lost abilities to dying populations. Their methods were wrong, but their goal was to preserve life." Jai-yun looked at her crew, seeing the same battle in all of them. Their berserker state wanted revenge, wanted to destroy everything that had threatened them. But their human minds could see the bigger picture. They had evolved beyond simple survival reactions. They could choose how to use their strength. "We'll take copies of everything," she decided finally. "Earth needs to know about this, about other species like us, about what we can do when we're pushed too far." She turned to First Observer. "But you will never capture or experiment on humans again. Next time, we won't stop at just escape." The Sylvani scientist nodded quickly, understanding that he was being shown mercy by creatures who had every right to destroy him. He watched as the humans, still in their enhanced state, began copying files instead of destroying them. They were proving something incredible, that Earth's deadliest predators had evolved into something even more remarkable. Beings that could choose wisdom over vengeance, even with the full power of their Deathworld nature awakened within them. 1 month after the incident at the Sylvani Research Station, Commander Jai-yun stood before the Earth Defense Council. The large meeting room was packed with representatives from every major nation. They had all come to hear about what happened and what it meant for humanity's future in space. "The Sylvani's research changed everything we knew about ourselves," Jai-yun explained, her voice now back to normal. "The berserker state had faded once they were safe, leaving only memories of its power. We weren't just strong because of Earth's gravity. We weren't just smart because we had to solve problems. We were special because we could be both at once." Do-hyun stepped forward next, showing the data they had brought back. "Other species evolved to survive their worlds too," he said. "But humans did something different. We kept our ancient survival abilities even as we became civilized. The berserker state proves this. We can think clearly even when our primitive instincts are fully awakened." Dr. Yun-hee shared her medical findings. The scans of their transformed bodies had taught them much about human potential. "Our bodies can become much stronger when needed," she explained. Our senses can become sharper. Our minds can work faster. But most importantly, we can control these changes. We don't lose ourselves to them. Hajun had studied all the Sylvanis' technical data. They thought capturing us was safe because they had contained stronger aliens before, he told the council. But they didn't understand that human strength isn't just in our muscles. It's in how we use everything we have, working together, adapting to any situation. Taiwan, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The Sylvani spread word about what happened, he said. Now other species look at humans differently. Not as primitives from a deadly world, but as equals who mastered their nature. They respect us now. And they're a little afraid of us too. The council members listened carefully to every word. Humanity's place in the galaxy had changed. They were no longer seen as newcomers who had somehow survived a harsh world. Now they were understood as something unique, beings who had kept their survival strength while growing beyond it. The Sylvani still study dangerous species, Jai Yun concluded, but now they ask permission first. They work with other races instead of capturing them. They learned that wisdom and strength can go together, just as humans learned long ago. As the crew finished their report, a message arrived from deep space. The Sylvani had found another species from a harsh world. But this time, they didn't send capture teams. Instead, they asked Earth to send diplomats. They wanted humans to help them make peaceful contact. We're not just Deathworlders anymore, Du Hyun said, smiling at his crew. We're proof that surviving hardship doesn't mean staying primitive. We can be both, civilized enough to show mercy, strong enough to face any threat. Jai Yun looked at her crew with pride. They had shown the galaxy something important. Humans weren't dangerous because they came from a deadly world. They were special because they had learned to be more than their world had made them. They could choose when to unleash their survival instincts and when to hold them back. The Berserker state would always be part of them, ready if needed, but it was their ability to control it, to think even when transformed, that truly made humans the ultimate survivors, not just of Earth, but of any challenge the galaxy might bring.